Hey everyone, welcome to the moon forecast video for the new moon we have coming up in Taurus. I'm Kendall with the Bohemian Tarot Girl.
And I'm Amy. I'm an intuitive energy coach, moon circle leader at Wild Reawakening. And I'm really excited about this new moon that's coming
Oh
in. I
my.
feel like it's going to give us some really needed, like calm, grounding, building energy that we've kind of haven't had in a while.
I agree. It's been kind of chaotic and a little bit stressful, I think, if you are standing back and looking at all these different aspects and things that are happening and you're kind of now we get to take like a sigh of relief, right? It's a little bit it's easy energy that we have coming in. We've come out of Mercury retrograde and we've stationed direct and it's slow still, but at least we're going in that forward movement. So I'm excited to see this energy and all this Taurus kind of, earthy energy coming in. So,
Yes. And this moon is happening on May 7th at 8:22 p.m. Pacific. And it's going to be at 18 degrees of Taurus. And so if you want to get some insight into where that will be affecting you, in particular, you can pull up your chart, look at where 18 degrees of Taurus lies and which house that is in, and that'll give you some ideas as to what part of your life this is kind of activating, and the themes around it. And so when we have new moons, it's when the sun and the moon are in the exact same place in the sky. And that's why we can't see the moon. It's kind of the dark moon there. And we use this energy typically when we're kind of setting intentions and really thinking about the kinds of things that we would like to create and bring into our life, and really getting aligned with forward direction and what we're building and growing. So it's really beautiful energy, especially in such an earthy sign like Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. So it's all the good things. It's, your love and your money and what your values are and what feels good to you, and this, feminine creative energy. And so it's really kind of, I don't know. I just kind of like breathe a little sigh of relief after all of like the eclipse season and that intense Scorpio full moon that we had, and Mercury being retrograde, and now we just kind of like get this little pause in the moment to really think about the good things that we want to bring into our life. Um, so
for
I don't know.
sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like we've had a lot kind of go on and happen and shake us up. And if you've been really following us and working, with your own energy and looking to use the cycle of the moon to help like improve yourself and your soul and really grow yourself, this is really, you've been over some periods of time where things have really been shaken up, right? With this eclipse energy. And here we're out of this eclipse energy and we're coming into this new moon and we're having this, we've had some odd new moons, I would say, in the past recently. And this is a really good one to set those intentions. And you've really come out of all this time where you've kind of gone over new things. You've learned some new stuff. You know the path that you kind of want to head down, and you've maybe tested out the waters to see what is working for you, what is not working for you. And now you can kind of take all of that information and now you want to create those intentions, right? And you really want to set where you want to head on your path clearly. Because I think, when we look at intentions, like if you set them during the astrological new year, that sort of thing, even for the regular new year, then, we've gone through some very shaky, changing energy. And so now we have kind of that new realization of what we really want this path to look like in between, especially in between these two eclipse periods, right? And
Right.
so, from this point on, we have this kind of open space that's going to come to us before we get the next set of eclipses. Um, and so this is a good time to kind of clear that path and make sure that you're heading where you want to be heading. So, um, and I kind of channeled like an internal shift was what I was focusing on. You're really making sure that you've dialed in with what you want and making sure that you're shifting in that direction.
Yeah, a lot of the past energy that we've had has been so involved with shedding and letting go and creating new pathways that we may not have expected. And just because we're having those shifts doesn't mean that we're, you know, now we have this new pathway ahead of us. Like, what do we do with it? And so, with all of the energy that's coming in, and of course, we don't just look at the sun and the moon energy, we're looking at, what all the different planets are doing and how they're interacting with each other and what those energies bring up. And looking at this chart, it's like we have so many planets that are sitting in Aries, and then we have a bunch of planets that are sitting in Taurus, and
Hmm.
there's really not any discordant like uh alignments happening. Like we don't really have any squares, we don't really have any oppositions. Those tend to be the type of alignments between planets that can kind of cause some tension or some friction. And so with this, it's just really a very easy, steady, like growing and building energy. So it's kind of like taking that, we've been in Aries season, which if you listen to me, I always talk about it being like the full energy, kind of stepping out on the path and not really knowing what it's doing, but it's excited to go. And then we are now in Taurus season and having the new moon in Taurus. And it's all about like creating more stability and creating abundance and really getting clear on um, the foundation of things as to what you're going to be bringing in and really planting the seeds so that you can build something that is long term and that's has good foundations and that is going to kind of like stand the test of time. So if you've had any like sudden realizations about what it is that you want to create or like the type of work that you want to do or even starting off in like new love relationships and kind of like laying the foundations for those and seeing what they are going to look like, this is prime energy to get really clear on what you want your life to look like, what things you value the most, and start really like creating the building blocks for that foundation so that as we get closer to next eclipse season, which is in the fall, um, your life will probably look very, very different than it does now, as long as you're really setting the right intentions.
Yep. And it's great, with this energy you mentioned, like the sun and the moon and Taurus, they have a lot of friends that are really helping out with this energy. And
Mhm.
so it's, this Venus Taurus energy is really about those like, our physical possessions here. It's about love. It's about that creation piece that we love. And so it's really this time is all about this like this energy of love and creation and making sure that your physical world is really where you want it to be. Um, so we have, in Taurus sitting with the sun and the moon, we have Venus, Jupiter, and Jupiter, of course, brings in the luck. And so I love it paired with Venus, and kind of that energy coming together to really bring us in this wonderful energy to bring in like love and all the things that we really want to bring in. It's what we usually focus in when we think about manifesting is really that Venus energy. And then we also have um Uranus and Taurus, which can be a little more like disruptive energies and quick shifts, but I think, when you're looking at this all coming together, using it as that you can make some quick changes that are going to be really beneficial during this time, especially if you align yourself. And I think that's key here. This is really a point where you can kind of kickstart yourself if you can get yourself aligned where you need to go. And so that should be really your focus on during this time.
And we just did like right around the full moon, we had Jupiter and Uranus were at the same degree point, which means that they were at the same place in the sky. And they're still, because they're outer lying planets and they're very kind of slow moving in their transitions, they're still sitting really close together. So even though they're not at the exact same, they're still really affecting each other. And Jupiter being the planet that expands everything and it's good luck and you know all the like abundance and all of those things. And then Uranus, which is kind of like the unexpected game changer,
Mhm.
the revolutionary thing. And so when they were together, it created this energy of um, probably unexpected realizations or shifts in the way that you've been doing things or your environment, um, potentially relationships. But they're like this kind of shifts that kind of set you on the motion for something even better and bigger
Yep.
and greater in your life. Um, and so with them kind of still interplaying with each other a little bit for a little while longer, it's like potential energy for like some really big, you know, kind of like self-realization and like um insights and just can still be some unexpected shifts happening because of it, but it's going to have more stability because of them being in the sign of Taurus. So
Mhm. I love it. I'm a Taurus rising. I know you're obviously a Taurus, so happy birthday, Amy. We're recording on Amy's birthday today, so make sure you wish her happy birthday. This energy is a really just like abundant energy. And so that's what I love about it. It can be so giving and so generous, especially if you focus and use, really manifest with it, right? And making sure that you've cleared out all that you need to clear, so you can step into this portion. And if you've been doing this work, I really feel like you're going to be just like clear sailing during this time. It's going to be really clear with the direction that you need to go. You've already been kind of like pushed towards it. Um, and so if you've seen yourself, resisting a change that has been offered to you, really pay attention to that because that can be that doorway that you need to go through. So really fill it out internally and do a self check-in. If you, I think a lot of people are just going to say like they've already been given an offering kind of thing, and maybe it's not like it has to be done right now. Like you might go on a trip because you've already planned it, and um, it's not like a long-term commitment, but then you're going to come back and then you're going to see the full offering later, right? Of another, like another trip, right? In that place. So just know that there's going to be an offering is usually the key, that what I clue in on. So probably didn't make any sense, but with my example, look for an offering.
and then because Jupiter stays in a sign for about 12 months. So we've had um, Jupiter in Taurus for a while, and it's been kind of affecting that same area in your chart for a little bit. So hopefully you've received some good luck and abundance in a certain
Mhm.
area of your life. Um, Jupiter's been traveling in my
I
eighth
know.
house. It's all about like transformation and death and things like that. So I, not necessarily the things you want more of, but yeah, I'm totally getting off on a tangent. But it's going to be later this month. It's going to be entering Gemini. So we're going to have like kind of a changing of the guard as to where Jupiter is falling and the energies that come with it, with being in a different sign. But before it does that, it's going to be sextiling Neptune, which has been in Pisces, at 29 degrees. And that can really trigger within you kind of a almost like a spiritual awakening, or like you might have some new gifts that you're suddenly aware of. You might feel more intuitive, a little more psychic. You might be having dreams about things. It's just kind of a type of energy when those two interact with each other, Jupiter and Neptune, because Neptune is the planet of like it's intuition and your dreams and your spirituality. And so it can really bring forth kind of an awareness and an awakening that you may not have had any realization about beforehand. So just pay attention to what comes up as we go through the month of May. It'll probably be closer to the next full moon, I
Yep.
believe, that they'll be hitting. So um, just something to keep in mind. And um, We also have the sun and the Uranus conjunct after the new moon because they're both in Taurus. And so they're going to be meeting. So that's always an interesting little shakeup because the sun represents yourself and it's, like the main player. And then Uranus, the planet of things unexpected and revolution. And so what about yourself is kind of like coming into realization?
Mhm.
What shifts are happening on a personal level for you? Um, yeah, there's so much like interesting but supportive energy going on here.
Yeah, there's definitely like supportive change. I mean, and that's the only other one that I really saw that we didn't like chat about was the moon sextiling Saturn. And that's really just like opportunity to change. Like, here's your door. Do you want to walk through it? You can go and test it out, but it's going to tell you where you need to go, sort of thing. So,
Mhm.
that's why I really think it's going to be supportive. It's going to be a little bit of a easy ask for you to take an offering, and take a path. And I think, if you're kind of gentle with yourself and utilize this Taurus Venus energy, it's going to feel really good making those choices. So, make sure that when you're being offered something, really feel it out and pay attention to like it should feel good because of the energy, right? Like it should feel like it's going to align with your life. It's going to be supportive in your life. It's going to bring you that joy and happiness because it's that very Taurus energy. So,
Yeah, and that sun and moon sextiling Saturn and Pisces. Um, because Saturn always has an interesting energy, and people either love or they hate Saturn, and it really has to do with how well you
or
are with
Saturn.
practicality and the order of things. um, so it can kind of come in, and it can kind of like, depending on the situation, like kind of like dampen things. But really, I feel for this, with it being in a supportive sextile um, with the sun and the moon, is that it's really kind of securing things into reality for you. And it's also, it's like fertilizing the soil and making sure it's good and making sure that you've, picked the right seeds and the most beneficial seeds,
Mhm.
and like this analogy of Taurus and being like a gardener. But
Better than my
um
triathlon. So go for it.
but it's like it's really making sure that the things are in order and the things are in place and that they're going to grow in the best, most beneficial way possible because you've taken care of the details. And so it's kind of like, also during that, it could possibly be paring down, like, do you need five different types of seeds, or do you want like, five different types of seeds of pumpkins? Do you need to have that many, or do you want to have like one seed that is like the prize winning pumpkin? And so there may be things that you have to um, leave behind in order to build the best. So, or grow the best. Let's just continue with this analogy.
I like it spring. So,
Yeah. So, and that's, I mean, pretty much, and we do have some players in Aries, that are still lending support and also bringing some awareness and insight to things. Um, Mars is now in Aries, which is its home sign, just like Venus is in Taurus now, which is its home sign. And so having those, like the male and the female aspects, sitting in very comfortable, planets or placements for them.
yep, they're happy.
Yeah, it's kind of the yin and the yang, and the nurturer and the adventurer, and like, just creating a really beneficial balance of energy between, making sure you take the time to do things right and grow it properly, but also having the motivation and reinforcement for actually getting something off the ground and activated. So um, that's really nice. And then Mercury was also conjunct Chiron, or will be
Hmm.
conjunct Chiron again, because Mercury was retrograde. So it hit Chiron and then backtracked. Now it's going to go back hit Chiron again for the third time. So we've been dealing kind of with this energy of, Mercury being the messenger and communication and mental awareness, and then Chiron being the wounded healer. And so during this kind of prolonged transit of them interacting with each other, it's really bringing up things, old wounds, old stories, old um, things that are ready to be looked at in a different way. Sorry, it's a holiday here, and there's fireworks every
Oh, I can't
holiday.
hear it, but
Okay, it just sounded like something exploded outside of my window. Um,
you're
so
always having holidays, man.
I know it's always like a big celebration here on my birthday. So um, yeah, so those things are really coming up to have a closer look and to bring some healing and awareness around it. So, um,
Well, Mercury came out when it started going direct, kind of right with the North Node too. So it's very much connected to that like life path. Like we've had this whole like life path review, I feel like during this,
mhm,
last like, what month, 2 months kind of thing. And so, it's interesting to see all this energy kind of work its way through. And here we're kind of coming out on the other side and being asked to really um, see what we want to do. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
see the full pic. I think it's more of like got to like have some preview of what we want, and now here it is. You can make your choice, and you can know what the choice is, kind of thing. So
Yeah, and the whole
I heard
I
it.
just yeah, I feel like the whole purpose of it is to really like bring you into like the best possible path for yourself.
Yeah.
And to show you more what you're capable of, and um, really open yourself up to new possibilities. Shakeups like we've been having and all of this inner awareness and external like chaos, which I feel like has been kind of the first part of the year or several years, is really just kind of meant. It has a purpose, and it's meant to really kind of redirect us into looking at things in a way that we maybe wouldn't have considered previously. So
Mhm. For sure. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. Amy, do you have any events that you're doing coming up that you want to mention
I
or
will be
okay.
yes, keep towards the end of the month, I am putting together a free masterclass on astrology and some things that you can look at in your chart to kind of get to know yourself a little bit better. And then right after that, we'll be launching a astrology workshop. So if you are interested in learning more about astrology and how to read a chart and what the planets mean and all, if you're getting kind of lost in these as we talk about it, like this would be a really good opportunity to take the class and get to know a lot of the details and how
Mhm.
we interpret this stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. And you can find that information at Wild Reawakening on Facebook. Um, and if not, then on our next video, I'm sure we will have that link for you. And so we will post it for you. So, um, thank you everyone. Have a great new moon. Make sure that you really set your intentions during this time and that you enjoy yourself. So, all right, everyone, we'll see you next time. Bye.